What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Eternal Fruit episode. We are your hosts, Alex and
Adriana.
And we are so glad to be back consistently now, as promised,
Yeah.
And we did realize on the second episode back, we didn't introduce ourselves.
Yeah. We
So,
forgot to introduce your host.
Yeah. The main course of the episode. Nah, just kidding.
The part that everybody looks forward to.
Yeah, the best part, But no, we're glad to be back,
Yes.
Glad to be more consistent with it. I know it's barely the second consistent episode, but we are gonna keep it flowing, keep it going,
Yeah.
And I don't know, we just hope you enjoyed the last one, and I just pray. Our prayer is that each episode just keeps getting better.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a couple upgrades, and they're just gonna get better from here on.
Yeah, I hope that our upgrades just keep coming and coming, but obviously it takes time, and yeah.
Yeah, we're learning.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of learning because the first times that we were setting up, we did not know what we were doing. Took a lot of Googling. Thank God for Google and YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, for real. YouTube University, man.
Yeah, literally.
But we will take feedback too, like if
Yes.
the lighting. I know in the first episode we took some feedback, on the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently I was being repetitive or something. I'll take that feedback too.
Yeah.
It's fine. But yeah, if there's an issue with lighting, audio, tell us,
let
man.
us know, or if y'all know how to make it look better. I'm always, or we are always open to getting better.
Yeah, because we also want you guys to enjoy the stuff, I don't know where you guys listen to this or watch it or whatever, but we want y'all to we want y'all to hear God's voice,
yes,
and not have to focus on
everything
like
else.
a glare, or if the color is too light,
Yeah.
There's sometimes where I watch videos and I'm like, bro, that's not straight, it's bothering me.
Or
and
whenever you're at church and you're worshiping and they mess up and you're you were getting into it, and then you can just tell that they messed up, which happens. We're humans, we're not meant to be perfect, but if we can even help with a little bit of that, definitely let us know. Text me, text Alex, write it in the comments, whatever.
Yeah,
we're definitely
still
always
fresh,
open.
So we're open to suggestions, advice,
Yeah,
just new ideas, anything helps.
yeah.
We just want to, what did you say earlier? Quality over quantity?
Yes, quality over quantity for sure.
Day.
But definitely doesn't mean we don't want to be consistent. We still want to be consistent.
I know, for sure. Yeah, and we won't stop just because we don't have this or we don't have that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're not doing this for us.
And we said last episode, we're both learning to just do with what we have.
Yeah.
So.
Enjoy what you have.
Exactly.
Really rejoice with everything that you have.
Yeah, because you're not going to be there forever, so.
Yeah, and you're not going to have the same stuff forever,
Yeah.
Just because something works now doesn't mean it's going to work later.
Mm-hmm.
There's always, when you're walking with God, there's always time for updates and upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always going to just be the same thing all the time.
Exactly.
Which leads to not taking your salvation for granted.
Yep.
And I know that's kind of maybe a little difficult to understand or straightforward.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we'll break it down. Because I came to a realization that I was doing that, and I wasn't truly walking in that blessing of being saved.
I think it comes to a point where we all take that for granted, because I think it's just human pride that gets in the way.
Ego.
And ego, to where we're finally getting somewhere, or we finally get what we prayed for, and we just forget about God.
Well, yeah.
And it's definitely happened to where I've walked away, or thought about walking away, and then I'm no, it's because I don't want to be Christian anymore. There was definitely a point in my life, like last year, where I was like, you know what, like I'm done with like the routine, and I'm done being Christian. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Like, why can't God ever come to me? Why do I always have to be seeking him? And like, it just came to a point where I was like, this is like pointless. Like, I've cried, I've prayed, I've done everything, and I still like feel stuck. Like I was saying last episode, like I feel behind. And like, it was like, what's the point of even following a God that doesn't listen to you? And like, it's not about that. Like, Christianity and your salvation is more than just like following God.
It's more than receiving blessings.
Yeah.
Blessings, you know, because at the end of the day, when you think about blessing, a lot of people think about finances, you know, increasing finances, something physical, something tangible, you know.
Yeah.
But the real true blessing is being called.
Exactly.
You know, like having the freedom to really give your life to Christ, to being baptized, you know, baptized in the Holy Spirit. Like, that's where the real blessing is.
Yeah.
You know, because through that, the blessing just doesn't fall on you, you know. Through that, God uses it to bless those around you.
Exactly. And one thing I was like kind of mentioning earlier to you was that like whenever you got baptized, Too Good to Not Believe was praying, and like that, in that moment I had chills, and I was like, man, like God, like my family's finally coming to church, what I had always prayed for. I even fasted for that. And like you got baptized, my aunts and uncle started going to church, my aunt started going to church, my parents, my cousins, and it was just a point where I was like, God, like thank you so much. And then to fast forward and like forget that what God has already done for me, and like just because he already did that doesn't mean he's done with me. Mm-hmm. He's not done with the rest of like the miracles or the plans he has. So it was just crazy. I was like taken back, and like I said, it's just pride that really gets in the way of like, man, it's because I have this, and like comparison too, man. Comparison.
Thief of joy.
Yeah, comparison is crazy.
Yeah, that's what got me a lot, you know, seeing other people who weren't or aren't Christian like succeed in areas that I've been asking God to increase me in, and I'm just like, bro, like I know they're not seeking you, you know, I don't even know they believe in you, you know, and I'm over here trying all the time, you know, but then whenever God has a sit down with you, you know, and tells you like, hey man, you're just, I'll speak out of my own experience. It's just like, you're just not ready. You know, I'll touch on that a little bit, I think, in the last episode, but yeah, man, you just take it for granted, and you don't realize like, bro, God called me, you know, and he like, I'm saved now, you know, like I gave my life to Christ. Now it's time to truly give my life to Christ and live for him. Yeah. Not for what I want. Because at the end of the day, you can still ask him for anything, you know, and he'll either say no, not yet, yes, and the no's hurt, like they hurt, right? But then later on, you realize why it was a no, you know, and if he would have said yes, it wouldn't have benefited in any way to your life. Like, if anything, it would have made you worse or kept you in the same place, you know? So realizing like, dang, I was able to give my life, like, even realizing, I know there's some places where you can't even freely be a Christian. Yeah. Right? So one thing I'm so grateful for is being able to just freely read my Bible. Anywhere, everywhere. Like, whenever I want to, I can just do it without concern if somebody might come for me or something.
Or even like in public, like talking about your Christianity or your faith really with others, like without feeling like they're gonna come arrest you for it or anything. Like, yeah, that's also a blessing.
Oh yeah.
And like, I feel like definitely in America we take like all of that for granted, because like we live in a country where we're allowed to like have different religious beliefs, you know?
Yeah, different opinions.
Exactly.
You know, lately it's been kind of iffy, but I won't touch on that, you know? But yeah, man, I was just living in so much fear. And I think that's the way I was taking my salvation for granted, you know? Because God doesn't call us to be fearful. You know, He provides us with peace, His confidence, you know, and His joy. And once you realize that, bro, like literally the sky is the limit, man. Mm-hmm. Like you start realizing certain things you were praying for, they don't even matter. Like, you know, and then you realize like, oh, this is why I kept asking and asking, because it didn't matter, you know.
And like you said last episode, like the Holy Spirit does live in us, and that's why, like, we can do all things through Christ. Like, there's no reason to fear. There's no reason to feel like stuck, like I was feeling. And like I said, like if that's where God wants me, that's where I'm gonna be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there's some people who have been saved, you know, have been baptized, and at some point they still don't feel worthy of praying, you know, worthy of going to church because it's shame, you know. And man, I know it's tough, you know, I've been there sometimes, but bro, you just pray and that shame goes away, man. Go to church, receive, be in the same atmosphere as everybody else who's there worshiping God and coming together to worship God, you know. And I'm telling you, it changes things, you know. And then you start realizing like there's a reason behind your salvation.
Exactly. And I know in Revelation it's like talking about being lukewarm, and I feel like that's also an issue here with like churches in America. Is like we hear the messages of like, oh, it's everything's gonna be okay as long as you follow God, and that's not true. Like, as we can definitely tell, there's a lot going on in the world. Just because it's not affecting us directly doesn't mean it doesn't affect others directly. And that's like the reason why we need to put our faith in God and really just like remember who our King is and who is in us, and how our salvation is something that like can be taken away. It's something that like I believe like salvation can be taken away, because like I said, like I can choose to walk away. And one of the reasons I truly believe that is because a while back God was talking to me. Like I said, there was a point in my life where I was like, oh, it's because I don't want to be Christian anymore. Like last year I was fed up with like going to church and like praying and reading my Bible and everything, that I was so fed up that I just didn't do anything for like a whole year, like half a year actually. And like I said in the first episode, my grandpa passed away, and that really affected me. And so I was just like fed up with everything. I was fed up, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. And so recently, maybe like a month ago, God, like I finally opened up my Bible, and God spoke to me through this verse, and it comes from a time where like King David is about to pass away, and he's about to give his position to his son Solomon. And so he's like telling him all the instructions and everything, and it's in First Chronicles 28, and it's 9 through 10 if you guys want to open up your Bibles. And it says, "And you, my son Solomon, acknowledge the God of your father and serve him with wholehearted devotion, and with a willing mind, for the Lord searches every heart and understands every desire and every thought. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will reject you forever. Consider now, for the Lord has chosen you to build a house as a sanctuary. Be strong and do the work." So there's another version that I like that says, acknowledge the God of your ancestors. And I feel like in that moment, I was telling you how like I felt like in that moment God was really talking to me, because I was grieving, and I was like thinking like, man, like it's because I don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, no, remember the God that your grandparents loved, that your grandma loved, that your grandpa loved, and like really remember why they were so giving, why they did all these things in his name, and like you'll get to know me even more. And it's not like I'm putting them as idols. It's really like like revealing to me how like in that moment of grief, God used like the thought of my ancestors following God and why I want to do it too. Not because they did it, but because I want to know like what they had and the relationship they had with him at like an older age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because it's because like the Bible says to be like Jesus, and you saw that in them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were working to be like Jesus, and you saw that in them. And I can say, yeah, every time I saw your grandma, like always smiling,
Yeah.
you know, always super nice to everybody, treated everybody the same, you know, with respect, and same as your grandpa, you know. And I mean, I want to say you're seeing them as an idol or anything.
Yeah.
You just, I think God spoke that to you for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's, I think it's so you can find that joy that they had in God, so you can find that joy for yourself.
Yeah, and
know?
like what you told me too, like off camera, was that like how God used that scripture too to show me how like they're rejoicing in him already, and like how I can get to that point too. Obviously they're in heaven and I want to be in heaven one day, and like yeah, like if my grandparents are rejoicing in it, like I want to rejoice in that too. And like that verse just like told me like, hey, like, and I kept reading the part 10. Y'all are probably like, why? But I really like the part where it says be strong and do the work, because I was in a standstill. I didn't pray. I would just go to church. Honestly, it was a point where like, if y'all have seen me in church, like y'all know I worship, I go hard, like I cry and everything. And like it came to a point where I wasn't even worshiping. I was just sitting there like just staring, like while I was doing sound or lyrics. I was just like, bro, like I'm just helping God. Like I just felt like everything was in vain. I was just like feeling like, man, like I've been doing all this for no reason. And like that helped me realize like, no, he sees what I do, and like I need to just be strong and do the work. Like I need to put in the work here. I need to put in the work at church. I need to put in work in my spiritual life, in my secret room. Like I need to put in the work everywhere so that I can like actually see God's fruition come.
Yeah, I agree. It takes, like I said, it's just life, you know. It's how you live life. That sorry, that's how it should be, you know.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like a momentary thing where, oh, okay, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna pray, and I'm gonna read the word, and then just go on about my day.
I feel like a lot of times too, now that you mention like it's a momentary thing, I feel like a lot of times like we'll invite people to church and they'll just get a feeling of like, oh, I just feel so happy and so peaceful, and then they go on throughout the week and then they're like away from God. And so they don't chase God, they chase the feeling that they had in that moment that they went to church.
Yeah, I had somebody like that was like, I kind of told him my testimony, how when I got saved and everything that I went through in that moment, you know. And I was like, I had taken him to worship night, and he went with me to midweek chapel, and he was just like, yeah, man, I just, like, it was cool, but I didn't feel like how you felt, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, bro, it's just, I mean, nobody feels the same thing, you know. Everybody's is different, and thankfully for me, it was kind of like an overnight change, you know, but it doesn't happen like that for everybody, you know. And it's just seeing that, like realizing like, dang, like I have been saved now, you know, like I'm one of the ones that Jesus died for, you know. And when you realize that, it kind of like puts a different meaning to your life, you know. And you start looking at life way different, you know, because then you're really like, man, I don't know when today's my last day, tomorrow, you know, you never know what could happen. And I feel like you live with more peace, but a little bit more sense of urgency to want to fulfill God's will over your life, you know.
Yeah, and it, like something that you said that stood out to me was also like how like I feel something, but that doesn't mean you feel it too. And it's like, it's called a relationship. Like for example, like with Abby, your wife, you can have a relationship with her, and then I can also have like a relationship with her, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the same relationship. Yeah. But she's still the same person, and that's how God is. He's still the same person, but your relationship's going to be different depending on how much work you put in. And like that's what causes the harmony around like following God, because he can tell you one thing, and then through me having a relationship with him, he could tell me that same thing through another feeling. Or you know, like I don't know if that made sense, but it's just God is more than a feeling. Oh yeah. God is more than a feeling, and he's definitely like worth seeking, because in the Bible it says seeking you will find, and he's definitely worth seeking. And like I said, he's way more than a feeling.
Oh yeah, that's what I think I heard. I don't give it a try. Give him your life. Yeah. You know, and bro, that's like impactful, you know, because if you just give it a try, then, and if you don't encounter him, you're not gonna know what anybody else is talking about. You know, this is probably not gonna mean anything to you. Exactly. You know, but once you fully like dwell in him and give him your life, that's when real change starts happening, because he needs us to be a certain way in order to be walking in that purpose that he has for us. You know, like I can't be lazy, I can't be scared, I can't be shy if I want to grow my business. You know, I need to be confident, I need to be full of joy, you know, I need to be patient and be like Jesus in order to see growth in my business, in order to be able to talk to other random people. Yeah. You know, because if I'm angry or scared or impatient, then I'm never going to be able to communicate properly with other people. Exactly. Because I'm going to get mad fast, you know, the one person that tells me no, I'm just going to think everybody else is going to tell me no. And then I'm going to be too scared to go after the next one, you know? So it's about realizing that I have been saved and I am called to do great things, you know? Whatever, everybody has their own, like, great thing, you know? And I think that's it's so amazing how everybody is different. Yeah. You know, they all have different calling, but everybody's calling works for the same purpose. Yeah. You know?
Coming together for like the same. But one thing I wanted to mention too, I don't know why it came to mind, is like whenever you're taking for granted your salvation, or you know someone is taking for granted their salvation, like don't be afraid to call them out. I feel like now everybody's like so scared to call people out, because you're like, oh, it's because I don't know, like I want to show my testimony of being like a nice person. Like it's not all about being a nice person. Sometimes it's about having those tough conversations with people of like, hey man, like what's going on, you know? And like sometimes those conversations will help people. And like it's not like, don't be scared to call people out and be like, hey bro, like why haven't you been going to church? Or hey man, like why have you been acting different? Like is everything okay? You know, like I feel like that's something that kind of would have helped me, I guess, is like in that moment of like me grieving and like pushing everyone away. I'm not saying people didn't reach out to me, because some people did, but it would have been nice for people to be like, hey man, like why are you so quiet, Adriana? Or like, hey Adriana, like what's wrong? Or you know, like I'm not saying people didn't reach out to me, they did, but it would have been nice to like been able to like have, I guess, that conversation and like come to the realization a little bit sooner, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that does make sense, because we all need like the support system
and accountability too. Oh yeah, accountability is it's big huge thing.
Man. Yeah. You know, because like you said, some people are scared because they don't want to seem like too religious, too bossy, and it's always how you say it, you know, how you come about it, you know, because some people are very religious about it, you know, I've encountered that, And to me, that, if anything, it pushes people away, you know, because like, first of all, you're not God.
Yeah.
You know, so don't come talking to me like you're God and like you're perfect, you know. But yeah, you need to realize that, like, if she was doing bad like that, then I need to be able to, like, discern it, and because she'll hide it, bro. She hides good, you know. And you got to be able to know, like, man, something's up with him,
or pray about it, like, just pray, like, hey, like, because there was many times where I was praying and I was like, man, I just wish someone would, like I would just wish I had someone to talk to about, like, deeper things, and, like, I would just pray about it, and then yeah, like, it was just hard. So, like, it would be easier if, like, before you confront someone, you just pray about it, and sure. God will definitely give you the words to, like, show you, to, like, get across to that person. So,
and the timing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, he'll put the exact time.
Yeah.
Like we said last episode, like, the perfect timing. That's God's timing, right? So it would come at the right time for you and at the right time for them. And then you just realize, like, I don't know what I just said, but I said what I had to say, you know. Well, it was God, right? But yeah, no, always pray, man.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, like, you're perfect, so you have to, like, confront these people. No, because what that conversation comes with is also, like, their side of things, of, like, where you can get confronted too, and that'll help you build your character as well. And it's not just, like, attacking someone. It's out of love, and, like, through that love, y'all will both grow closer to God, rather than have one still, like, taking, like we said, taking their salvation for granted and just doing whatever they want.
Absolutely. And it doesn't always have to be God, like, oh, well, God this and God, like, sometimes you just need to hear people out.
Yeah. You
know, and you might have lived something that they're going through and be able to tell them that experience, you know, and it doesn't like I said, it doesn't always have to be, well, what are you doing wrong?
Yeah.
You know, or, well, have you given it to God, or have you talked to God? Like, bro, sometimes people just want to, I know, because I've heard from other people where we don't even talk about God, and we're able to navigate through whatever they're going through. You know? And it's just about being, like, a shoulder for them to lean on.
Yeah.
You know, and for them to just vent, and then through that, they're able to see, like, man, they were able to help me with this, you know.
And it's about showing Jesus too, like, in your character, like, just showing Jesus, and then, like I've said many times, that's what will make them be like, oh, like, what's different about her? Like, why can I talk to her about these things and those things? And, like, slowly you'll realize that the character of God is what really touches them. And it's not about you bringing, like, people to church, like, you're just doing the works, but God is doing, like, the feeding.
Yeah, because you can invite 50 people to church, they all show up, and then none of them give their life.
Yeah.
You know, but then you invite just one person, and God, because it's not us doing the salvation.
Yeah.
Right? As well as just inviting and then allowing God to do the rest. You know, just how she invited me. She didn't tell me to go up there to the altar and surrender my life to Christ. She just invited me. Literally, that's all she did. And she didn't even sit with me or anything, because she was in the...
Oh, yeah, I was serving.
She was serving, right? So it just takes you saying yes to God when he puts in your heart to invite someone, or when he puts in your heart to speak to someone about God, and it just takes you obeying, and then God does the rest.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of wanted to close on was, like, bro, being lukewarm is like not crazy. Yeah, which is, like, kind of where I was at last year, I can say, because I wasn't really having that relationship with God, but I also wasn't, like, going with God. Like, I was going to church, and, like, I even told him, I was like, it's because I feel like I don't want to be Christian anymore. And I was like, it's not that I want to do bad things. It's not that I want to go drink and, like, have sex and, like, go smoke or, like, whatever. Like, I don't want to do any of that. I just don't want to be going to church anymore.
Yeah.
But what we don't realize is that those habits that we create, or that discipline that we have in going to church and serving and doing all these things for God, is what helps us like create that atmosphere where it's like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. Whereas like if I would have walked away, who knows if that's what that would have led to, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the importance of not being lukewarm and choosing God or not choosing God. You can't be in the middle.
Yeah, pick a side and stay on this. No,
and in Revelations, it says how like if you're lukewarm, he will literally spit you out of his mouth. Mm-hmm. Because you either have to be cold or you got to be hot. And so it's something that like I said, taking salvation for granted is definitely something that like resonated with me at that time that we decided to do this topic, because I was like, man, like this is something that I'm struggling with, that I was struggling with, because I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, because we think being saved is gonna bring so much positivity to your life. Yeah. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna give my life to Christ and then everything's gonna get better. Mm-hmm. Like, nah, man. I don't want to say it gets harder, but it doesn't get easier.
It's crazy because I was thinking this too. I was like, before I started following God, like I feel like I wasn't as sensitive. It's not that I'm sensitive. I don't think I'm sensitive, at least. I don't know. No. But like, it's not that I'm sensitive, but like I was thinking, I was like, man, like why do things like get to my head more, in the sense of like worry? Like why do I worry about things more, when before, when I wasn't Christian, I didn't worry and I didn't feel anxious and I didn't feel like all these things. But now that I'm Christian, I feel these things. And that's one of the main things why I was like, I don't want to be Christian anymore, was because I was like, I'm feeling all these things that I didn't when I was in the world. And it's because my heart was harder. And when God comes in and he softens your heart, you start feeling the emotions that we're meant to feel as humans. Yeah. And so it's harder in the sense of like in my case, at least, like speaking for myself, it's harder to be a Christian because I'm learning to feel things other than anger and numbness. Because I would just like I would like zone out my problems so that I wouldn't like think about them. So I would just like avoid thinking about my issues. And it was really just avoidance and anger that I would like use to cope with what I was feeling. And now that I'm Christian, I don't use avoidance and anger to cope with things. So now I have to understand the part of joy. I have to understand the part of sadness. And I have to understand like every other feeling that comes from God, but not letting it consume me, you know, like finding that balance between like, okay, this is what I feel, but it doesn't mean it's like the end of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the good feeling, like you can't just live in the moment of one good feeling, you know, because life goes on. So like then there's the next good feeling, you know, you can't just stay stuck in one thing and just stuck with that. Mm-hmm. You know, you gotta keep being expectant for more. As you seek more, as you work more, like there's gonna be more to come. Exactly. Because God blesses in abundance. So. And
He's not done with you yet.
Yeah, hold on to that. He's not
done with you yet.
Hey, if there's anything you're gonna hold on to from this episode, is that He's not done with you yet.
Exactly. He's not done with me. He's not done with him. As long as I'm breathing, He's not done with me, and He's not done with you. If you're breathing, if you're watching this, He's not done with you.
There's still more to come.
Exactly. He knows the plans He has for you. Yeah. Freaking Jeremiah 29:11. But I mean, yeah, I guess we can just conclude the episode with that. He's not done with you. He's not done with him, and He's not done with me. Mm-hmm. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave those comments we mentioned earlier. Yeah. Like anything you want to comment, any suggestions even for episodes, please let us know. We're always open to anything. So if you guys, like I said, like this episode, give it a like, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.